You might think this story is about a cold, calculating, ruthless mobster. It's not. It's about what happens when you enter a game believing you still have a choice and realize too late that the role was already written. Stay until the end. Because this is not an analysis about crime. It's about the moment you realize you're no longer the person who walked into the room. And if this kind of reading hits you, subscribe now. Here, we don't just watch characters, we use them as mirrors. Michael Corleone starts differently. He doesn't want power. He doesn't want respect. He doesn't want command. He wants distance. While everyone around him orbits the Corleone name, Michael insists on something rare in that world: normalcy. He believes he can love without owing, exist without belonging, be someone without carrying the weight of the name. And that's what makes the fall so silent. Because no one forces Michael to enter. He enters because he believes it's temporary. And almost every real tragedy begins exactly like that. Michael doesn't become what he becomes out of ambition. He becomes it out of necessity. When his father falls, when chaos takes over, when the system threatens to collapse, someone has to decide. And deciding in moments like that is not heroism. It's accepting a cost no one else wants to pay. Michael learns a brutal rule very quickly. Whoever hesitates loses everything. So he learns not to hesitate. And here something happens that the film never explains directly, but everyone feels. With every hard decision, something inside him organizes itself, and something else goes dark. It's not that he becomes stronger, he becomes more functional. And that's dangerous, because functionality without affection looks like maturity, but it's anesthesia. There's a very seductive lie in this trajectory, the idea that coldness is control. Michael starts confusing silence with intelligence, distance with authority, rigidity with respect. And it works. People obey. The system stabilizes. The chaos shrinks. But the question no one asks is simple: at what cost? Because every time Michael chooses what needs to be done, he also chooses to give up something that never comes back: a gesture, an expression, a doubt. He doesn't lose his soul all at once. He loses it in installments. And here's the point that connects with the viewer. Michael is not just a mobster. He's the child who had to grow up too early, the man who became the reference point, the person everyone relies on, but no one takes care of. When you become the pillar, there's no room to fail. You can't get confused. You can't show fear. You can't stop. You have to hold everything together. And holding everything together for too long comes with interest. Michael doesn't become cold because he wants to. He becomes cold because warmth becomes vulnerability, and vulnerability becomes risk. How many people live exactly like this without ever realizing it? At some point in the story, Michael stops reacting. He calculates. Not because he's more intelligent, but because feeling became too expensive, love became a distraction, trust became a threat, explaining became weakness, and silence becomes the main language. He doesn't shout, he doesn't explode, he doesn't justify himself, he simply executes. And the world around him interprets this as absolute power. But inside, what exists is something else: isolation. There's a crucial moment in this transformation, when Michael realizes he's no longer protecting the family. He's protecting the structure, and structure doesn't love, it demands. Family becomes an argument, legacy becomes an excuse, and identity becomes a function. Michael Corleone stops being someone. He becomes something. And when that happens, going back is no longer a simple option. Maybe the hardest part of this story is not what Michael does to others, it's what he does to himself. He sacrifices his own spontaneity. In the name of stability, he trades connection for control, presence for predictability, and in the end, he wins. But he wins alone. And that's when The Godfather stops being a movie about the mafia and becomes a brutal study of irreversible choices, about the price of handling everything, about what happens when you become necessary enough that you can no longer afford to be human. If you've ever felt like you had to be strong all the time, if you've realized you stopped feeling just to keep functioning, this story doesn't feel strange. It just feels too honest. Michael Corleone is not a warning about crime. He's a warning about identity, about the moment you realize you built something solid enough that there's no room left for who you used to be. If you want to keep exploring characters like this, without romanticizing it, without shallow morals, without disguised self-help, subscribe to the channel. Here, every story is a mirror, and some of them reflect things we'd rather not name. The next character will touch another sensitive point, and you'll feel it before you understand why.